Everybody has it wrong. I'm gonna piss you off a little bit. I'll tell you what annoys me about you. You are Russian. I don't know what happened. The Russians were tough.
I'm tough as well, Joe. I think at the same time, it's the perspective that people see.
It's all nonsense. We have to do.
I lived in the shadow for like my childhood.
But if we sit around and we talk about our feelings and the past and this shit and that shit, I love you. I love what you're doing, but like more burpees, less nonsense. Get your fucking job done.
I'm part of this industry in regards to helping people be more grateful, manifest things in their life.
If you have all your time to talk about this stuff, that means you're not working hard enough. We don't sit around and own. We have to do, we have to grind, we have to sweat. You have to have a date on the calendar that scares the shit out of you. You can't get to where you want to go without suffering. In that process of doing, grinding, sweating, we find the place we're supposed to be in life.
Welcome to Intelligent Change.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, welcome to Zermatt, Switzerland.
It is incredible. I'm glad you wrote me into flying here for a 24-hour visit.
I don't think you're even here for 24 hours.
It's about 20 hours. But when you call, people listen.
Yeah.
You called, you said, Joe, I need you in Zermatt. Can you be here in 12 hours? I'm here.
All the way from Florida.
All the way from Florida.
Wow. And we just did 100 burpees and 100 flight of stairs with kettlebells that are at least 50 pounds.
That was the appetizer for the podcast.
Yeah. So I'm sweaty right now. And for those of you that don't know, Joe De Sena is the founder of Spartan race, also owner of Tough Mudder, and probably one of the toughest guys that I know.
I don't know about that.
I'm saying that I know. I know you know a lot of tough guys.
You don't know. He doesn't know a lot of tough guys.
Exactly. So as you know, I like beautiful luxury lifestyle. And you're always telling me to don't be so soft. So the first question I want to ask you is, why is the society so soft? Especially men.
You know, I've got a lot of friends because I had a career on Wall Street. I've got a lot of friends that are wealthy and successful like you, Alex.
Mm-hmm.
And what I was just explaining to them 2 days ago was that human beings are wired to be soft. Now, why is that?
Mm-hmm.
Because 10,000 years ago, 50,000 years ago on Earth, we didn't know where our next meal was coming from. We didn't know if we were going to be able to survive the cold, the locust storm. Like, you know what I mean? So our brains are optimized to seek comfort for survival.
Mm-hmm.
We don't need that today because we've got couches, we've got Netflix, we've got everything we need at our fingertips, DoorDash, Uber. That's the problem. Our brains are operating as if it's 10,000, 50,000 years ago in a world where we're living in bubble wrap.
Mm.
And so I'm asking people like you, people like my wealthy friends, my successful friends, hey dude, you gotta get out of your comfort zone. You gotta take a cold shower. You gotta climb that mountain. You gotta go out in the rain. Because if you don't, you're actually endangering yourself. You're actually putting yourself in harm's way because when the shit hits the fan, you've got no tools in the toolbox to survive.
And so what tips and advice would you give for myself to not get soft and to live life to the fullest?
Listen, it's hard, Alex, because you're surrounded by a bunch of people that are all thinking the same way. Our community, Spartan's community, is an anomaly. It's a very small fraction of people in the world that think the way I think, the way I just described, that are willing to do hard things. So when you're surrounded with folks that are quote unquote normal, I consider you normal. It's a compliment, not a negative.
Yeah.
You're not going to want to push yourself. Like when we were doing that workout, you and your friends and my friends all thought it was a little nutty,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so we wanted to stop.
Yeah.
And that's what happens each and every day. So you have to manufacture adversity in your life, you, whoever you are, Alex, You have to do the things you don't want to do. You're about to park your car near the supermarket, park it a mile away. You're about to take the elevator, take the stairs. You're about to adjust the shower to the perfect warm temperature, turn it to cold. You don't want to wake up at 6 a.m., get up at 5. You've got to do really uncomfortable things every day in order to build the resiliency muscle. If you don't build the resiliency muscle, when the shit hits the fan,
You know, one of my favorite things is hard choices, easy life, easy choices,
hard life.
hard life.
Yeah.
So how do you...
Well, do you believe it?
I do believe it.
If you believe it, you got to take action.
Well, the reason I'm here is because I have taken hard choices in the past. But as you said, with time, we get comfortable. You're like, I don't want to, I've done that in the past. I don't want to do that again.
Look, I'm sitting here explaining as if I know it all, as if I study it, as if I write books about it. And I still have a tough time every day. When you said to me, look, we have a little time for a workout, my brain is still a 50,000-year-old brain. It doesn't want to do the workout, but I've taught myself that we have to do the things we don't want to do. And the other thing I said to you, and I think you agree, the only time you ever regret doing something hard is the time you don't do it, right? Have you ever come out of a cold shower and said, oh, I wish I didn't do that? No, right?
Yeah.
So we've got to do it. We all know, everybody watching this knows that they'd be better off for it.
I think we cannot always suffer. We can just relax sometimes. Or is that doesn't work with you?
I think
Why can't you just enjoy life?
it's hard to enjoy life if you don't take some stuff out of your life. If you don't take a little comfort out of your life, if you don't take a little food out of your life. Don't you think most of us overeat? Don't you think most of us overindulge? Don't you think most of us like over scroll, right? So you take some away and all of a sudden you miss it. You appreciate it. So I think I wish I lived in the 1700s.
No toilets,
Maybe toilets.
no air conditioning. Well, there's just a hole in the ground.
Yeah, maybe that's too much.
1850s.
Yeah. I like the toilets.
I like
They don't have to be
Japanese toilets. You know, the warm
Japanese.
seats?
They're amazing. Amazing.
Too much comfort. So, Joe, connecting to what we're speaking about, does the whole world have happiness wrong? What's your take on happiness?
I do believe the world is chasing happiness the wrong way. What I mean by that is you, me, we all want more. We want better. We want easier. I'm not going to describe this well, but imagine a whiteboard or imagine a black horizontal line on the whiteboard. And that's my life. That's where I am. Imagine another line. That's where you are. Another line. That's where the audience is. We're chasing upward on that board for more, for better, for easier. If we only had a better house, if we only had a nicer girlfriend or boyfriend, if we only had that car, that's above the line on the board. And again, you might have more than me, I might have more than them. If you take away from your life and you go down below that line, the same way Seneca spoke, the ancient philosopher Seneca spoke about, right? Like you got to take things away, you got to live without them, you got to taste life for a minute in that regard. And all of a sudden, when you get back to the line, you're like, oh my God, this is unbelievable. I appreciate this stuff so much. The ancient samurai at night, when they went to bed, would close their eyes and they would burn all their possessions and their family in their mind. So that when they woke up, they were so happy. They had everything, right? When I go on that long run or that bike ride or whatever that thing is, that's terrible, that workout you and I just did, when it's over, we feel good because of how terrible we felt prior. Most of us have it backwards. We're chasing things that'll never make us happy, because when we get to that next level, we want a level above that. And so we're on a hamster wheel where we never find fulfillment. I take things away. I take things away.
And what is happiness to you, if you define it for yourself?
Just being content. Oh my God, this bed feels so good because I slept on the floor the night before. Oh my God, my family's so awesome because I just read the story about the guy that lost his whole family in that fire.
Mm-hmm.
My son had a very big wrestling tournament 5 days ago. We had expectations that were very, very high. It's another thing we should talk about.
Mm-hmm.
Expectations. And we fell short. And I was upset. And he was upset. Until I started thinking about it. Until I moved downward on the line. And I said, hang on a second. There's people I had on the podcast that are missing arms and legs. There's folks that don't have kids that want to wrestle anymore. They're like, you can go down the list of things that are terrible, that are fatal. It's no big deal. We dust off. It's no big deal that we lost a wrestling match. It's a high quality problem. Let's talk about expectations. Part of the problem with the world today, the developed world, is we have really high expectations and a low tolerance for pain. Right? The coffee's supposed to be the right temperature. The shower is supposed to be perfect. You're supposed to have the perfect spouse that never gets upset and doesn't ask you to take out the garbage. Everything is supposed to work perfectly. When you have those kinds of expectations and they're not met, you're upset. When you have really low expectations, I may not get a house to sleep in tonight. I may not wake up to a family and possessions. Life becomes much more fulfilling because, like, oh my God, this cracker is the greatest cracker I've ever had because I didn't have food yesterday.
Yeah, oftentimes, as you know, I've participated in the Strive Challenge, which is the Branson family puts on. It's more of a fancy Spartan race, so not as, as Tough Mudder or Spartan. And it's basically a bunch of billionaires or very successful people. And for me, what I found interesting is that we'd be staying at the worst hotels, eating the worst food. And I was like, and I'm like, I thought I made it. I'm with these guys who are super successful and they're making us suffer. Like, why are they doing this to themselves? And I didn't get it. But like you said, if you are living this incredible, comfortable, luxurious life, and if you're always there, then you're not going to even feel the joy of what your life actually is. So sometimes you have to take things away.
I took my kids and my friends' kids out on a hike in Vancouver once, and we got trapped in a snowstorm. It was like a horror movie. It was an overnight in a snowstorm. Kids were freezing. It was a scary touch and go situation. No food. Next day, we get back to the car. We're safe. The kids are like, please, Dad, can we stop at Wendy's? No, we're not going to Wendy's. We're going to drive 2 hours till we get to Vancouver. We're going to get a healthy meal. Please, we haven't eaten in 24 hours. We just survived the snowstorm. Fine. Everybody can get one small order of French fries. 4 kids. We go in. I get them the French fries. My son trips. All the French fries fall on the floor. They are eating the French fries off the floor. The day before this happened, if one of the children touched the other kid's French fry, they wouldn't eat it. They were eating them off the floor. So that's why Branson, that's why the billionaires are doing that. It's the same thing Seneca did in the ancient world. If you have everything, you appreciate nothing. If you have nothing, you appreciate everything. And so live with nothing for 24 hours, 48 hours, 72 hours. Suffer a bit, 1 hour. You're going to appreciate everything you have.
And how does, people who are listening or watching to this podcast, how can they start introducing this to their life? Because they're comfortable and they're like, this is even listening to this podcast in my air-conditioned car or at home or while they're pretending to work from home. So how can regular people who are stuck in their comfort start introducing things that are uncomfortable in their lives?
You do it with baby steps, right? You say to yourself, you make a list and you say to yourself, what are the things you absolutely hate, but you know are good for you and they're not going to kill you? A cold shower as an example, a run in the rain, a run in the cold, burpees, whatever those things are, eating more salad, fasting, whatever those things are that you just do not want to tackle, but you know they're good for you. You know they're good for you. You got to start doing them. And maybe it's one thing a day. And here's a trick a lot of people don't realize. Tell all your friends you're doing it. If you decided, let's say, to take a cold shower every single day, tell everybody you know you're doing it. Because when you get in a hot shower, you're going to think twice and say, I don't want to be a fraud. I told everybody that I was doing this. Hey, I'm going to go to the gym every single morning. You're not going to not show up if people are there expecting to see you. When I carried that kettlebell around for 3 years, everybody knew I would show up with a kettlebell. I had to show up with the kettlebell. I had to. If Alex was expecting me in a meeting, I had to show up with it.
Can you tell us why you were carrying kettlebell for 3 years?
I did that. I had a guy come to the farm in Vermont. By the way, everybody's invited to the farm anytime they want. He was 696 pounds. We had to get him down to a manageable weight. We had him for 18 months. We helped him get down to 265 pounds. As he was losing weight, I told him I would carry weight as a motivating factor. So at some point, I was carrying a 100-pound sandbag everywhere. It was obviously impossible to do. It was at the same time when that project was over, it was the same time I was moving to Japan with my family. I asked my wife to order a 20-pound kettlebell so that I wasn't a fraud and I would at least be carrying some weight, but I couldn't carry 100 pounds everywhere. She, by accident, ordered a 20-kilogram, because we're in Japan, kettlebell, 42 pounds. And for the next 3 years, I carried the thing everywhere, everywhere. If I was in Vegas and I was walking through the casino on my way to a hotel, I had it in my hand. If I was in a meeting in New York City, if I was in India, wherever I was, I had this kettlebell.
And what did you learn in those 3 years carrying that weight?
Look, in some ways, not to take anything away from religion, but it was like I was carrying my burden. I was carrying my cross. And it goes back to exactly what I said before. When I put that down at the end of the day or in a meeting during the day, whenever it was, when I got to put it down on the ground, I was so happy, right? So I was constantly burdening myself. I was constantly suffering. And in those moments where I wasn't, I experienced a lot of joy.
And Joe, where does this all come for you in terms of, creating the life that you've created, not being soft? Tell us about the time you were chubby.
Yeah, growing up. I grew up in an Italian neighborhood. If you saw the movie Goodfellas, I grew up ground zero for Goodfellas, and lots of Italian food, lots of cannolis and, pasta. It was in some ways a soft life. Even though it was a rugged neighborhood and people killed people for a living, it was a place where people chased comfort. And I kept thinking, could I do the time? That was like going to college. When somebody went and did 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, that was going to, they called it, oh, you went to college, right? Like they could trust you. They knew you could do the time. And I questioned myself as a young kid, like, could I do the time? And so to prepare myself mentally for that, I carried rocks around the neighborhood. I took cold showers. I purposely didn't turn the air conditioner on. I wanted to see, like, could I do these things? And I remember my dad and my grandfather whispering one day, just far enough away from me that I could hear it. Maybe purposely, maybe not. This kid's a hard worker. This kid's a tough kid. And that was it.
Was there inspiration to you doing that? Or did it just come from the sky?
I guess the inspiration was the folks that had the money and the power and the respect. They were tough guys. They had done the time.
So you're doing your own version.
I was doing my own version of it at a young age because I knew I wasn't as tough as there were kids that just were born tough. They were tough kids. I wasn't that. Could I build calluses? Could I toughen myself up? And then hearing my dad and my grandfather say that was it.
How old were you?
11, 12. And I just defined myself at that moment as a hard worker, as a kid that got it done. And then I built my own business at a young age. And so you build your own business at a young age. Anybody out there listening that knows what it's like to run a business, oh my God, it's like being electrocuted 24 hours a day at a young age. So I had that whole experience to help build calluses. And then I found these races, and then I just took it to another level.
However, before the races came, you were working in finance, like Wall Street. So how did you make that change from being in pretty much corporate finance to then starting also your own business again? Because you said you had your own businesses, maybe you were younger, then you get into Wall Street, but then how do you get out to create and start living your dream?
So prior to Wall Street, it was a pretty rugged business. I was cleaning and building swimming pools, doing construction. Anybody that knows the construction business knows it's hardcore. Everything that can go wrong does go wrong. You're mixing cement, you're digging holes. Like, it was a rugged business in a rugged neighborhood where if you screwed things up, you got in trouble. Go to finance, go to Wall Street, much simpler life, weekends, nothing to do. Because of that, I went and found these races. I went and found something to make me feel like I did in the neighborhood. And so I started doing these races all over the world. Ultra marathons, Ironmans, the Iditarod, Badwater, all the stuff that's cool and hip now in social media. Before any of the social media existed, I was out there doing it with a bunch of nutcases. And I fell in love with it. It was life-changing, it was mind-changing. I roped everybody I could on Wall Street into doing it. I lied to people. I told them, hey, this weekend we're going to have a barbecue. Come out. They'd say, Joe, why are we waking up at 5 a.m. for a barbecue? Well, we got to carry the barbecue up the mountain. But they didn't know they were the ones being barbecued. So I constantly tortured clients and prospective clients and friends. And, you know, rather than being the guy that was drinking all the time and taking people to late night dinners, I became the guy that was bringing in an expert on organic raw foods to talk to them, or we were going to run stairs in the building or whatever it might be. So, through the 90s, I pushed really hard on the art of possible for myself and everybody around me. And then in early 2000 with Branson, or around Branson's Island, I put on my first race called Expedition BVI. And it was a 350-mile long event. 2001, we lost a person. Person drifted away in a rowboat. Nobody noticed. We found him 8 days later on a deserted island, Little Tobago.
Was he alive?
Alive. Coast Guard found him. Literally drifted. They put an article in Sports Illustrated, True Survivor. I thought I was going to go to jail. We thought he was dead. We rented Branson's helicopter from him. Got the Coast Guard, and thank God we found him. Clearly, imagine your first journal. Imagine all the ink being a mess. My first race, I lose a guy. Drifts 150 miles away. And I'm a glutton for punishment. So then I put on the second race and the third race, and I was so happy that he didn't sue us.
How many people have now done Spartan Tough Mudders around the world?
It's approaching 15 million.
And how many people do it every year?
1.5 million. 1.5 million people a year. I was in the airport. I was working my way from Florida to here because you commanded me here. And I saw no less than 5 people I don't know that bumped into me, that saw the Spartan logo on the shoe or the hat or whatever. You saw I brought people with me. And so it's pretty incredible. The community that spans across 45 plus countries, and have all taken on this idea that we need to do hard stuff in this soft world.
I see yourself as somebody who's really has designed his life in a way that you want to live, and also that you found your purpose. So how does one start to design their life and also with purpose?
I'm not a believer. I'm sure there's a bunch of people that'll get upset. Even you might get upset at this. I'm not a believer that you can just snap your fingers and say, I want to find my passion. I'm going to do something I'm really passionate about. What I am a believer in is you got to do. You just got to do every day. And maybe doing is working at a restaurant cleaning dishes, because you can't just sit in the house on the couch and expect life to find you. And then you're doing dishes in this restaurant. You don't like that job, but you're putting food on the table, and you bump into somebody. And that leads you to go become the assistant chef at some fancy sushi restaurant, right? And then that leads you to meet a guest at that restaurant that brings you, and then before you know it, 14 years later, your life is designed exactly in a manner in which you wished. But you got to start somewhere. I call it fire ready aim. You got to fire. You got to fire because you could sit around and get ready and aim for 7 years. I saw a lot of kids in the neighborhood do that, and they never got off the starting block. So I think it's a fallacy. I think it's a mistake to say, I want to design my life around my purpose and my passion, and all right, good luck. Good luck. There's 8 billion people on Earth, and I'm sure everybody would love for that to happen, but life just doesn't work that way.
And so talk us through other steps. Fire, ready,
yeah,
aim.
And that's it. Fire, ready, aim.
But you said fire is take action.
Take action. I want to start a business. All right, well, stop talking about it. Stop talking about it. Stop writing business plans. The business plans are going to all go in the garbage anyway. Design that first product, provide that first service, get a reaction from the customer, would-be customer, edit it over and over and over until you nailed it, and then, scale it. Most people sit around, talk about it, and never get off the starting block, never do anything. My son has a little business, my younger son, and when you look back at how this happened at 15 years old, he was at a wrestling tournament and somebody bought his singlet off him for $20 and he got a taste. And so then he went and sold the shoes and then he made a website. You know what I mean? And he grew into it. Now, I don't know if that's his passion in life, that's his purpose, but it's teaching him a bunch of stuff and maybe it leads to something else and that leads to something else. And before you know it, you're exactly where you're supposed to be.
I'm curious in regards to taking that next step into starting a business, having it take off. And then obviously you then have to lead. I see you as a leader, somebody who is, how many people do you employ?
500 people. I'm a terrible leader, actually. I would say I'm a really good inspirator. I inspire people. You see, I inspired you to work out. You didn't want to do the workout. I didn't want to do the workout. I inspired both of us, right? But I'm not a great leader. A great leader is going to manage their people very well. And I just don't enjoy it. I don't enjoy it. I don't enjoy checking in on people and seeing if they've done what they're supposed to do. Selfishly, I want to be around a bunch of people like you, like me, that are just getting after it, getting the job done. You described the person you hired recently that quit after a day because they realized they had to do a bunch of work. Most people don't want to do the work. And I just don't do well managing that. So I think I'm a really good, clearly I can inspire people because I've inspired 15 million people to get to a start line and cross the finish line. But I've hired other people to do the management and the true, traditional textbook leadership.
Well, at the same time, we touched upon, Richard Branson, and you've obviously spent some time with him and many other great founders all around the world. And the reality that I see is that, as you said, they inspire, they create this vision, and they put that trust into them. The rest unfolds. So for yourself, how do you even build an organization to 500 people? That's still a feat. That's leadership to help other people, inspire them to lead and manage other people.
Yeah, I figured it out along the way. I had never built a business like this. I had never built a global company before. And, we had 2 people, and then we had 5 people, and then we had 10 people. And I guess I just don't take no for an answer. And I just kept pushing and banging my head against the wall and hiring great people and keeping the people that are great. And, it's silly to believe that you're only going to hire great people. You're going to hire lots of people and make mistakes with folks. And the ones that stayed, the ones that believed in the mission. That's the other thing. I got really lucky. Number 1, I got really lucky with the brand. Number 2, I got really lucky in that it's purpose-driven. It's a purpose-driven business where it changes lives. And so imagine all those people coming across the finish line. I'm back with my husband. I'm back with my wife. I lost 200 pounds. I gave up drinking. I gave up drugs. If you work for a company that does that and hears those stories, it's a little easier to get excited and get out of bed in the morning.
I think oftentimes there's companies that do that, but they don't communicate it well to make people understand what they're really part of. So how do you create in Spartan that community of like, hey, we're changing lives here? Because you have people in back office who never see people finish across the finish line.
We spoke about it yesterday. Everybody that works for us must go to our races. They must go attend the events. They must see that last person come across the finish line. They must see those tears. Otherwise, they're not going to get it. I get those, thank God, I get inbound letters every day. and I send those inbound letters to the whole team. So
Yeah.
I send out, communications every single day, and that inspires folks too. But they need to come physically see folks, start line, finish line, tears. And we have a lot of fun. Like if you were at a race in Scotland, let's say, and I was out there and I saw people cheating and not doing all their burpees, I decided to set up a table by the finish line. A mock, truth test, lie detector test. Did you do your burpees or not? Knowing that I saw 70% of the people like skip some with a big scissor, cutting their medals off. So I have fun with it too. You gotta have, right? Like life is hard, business is hard. You've got to have fun with it too.
And so how do you think about your life, touching upon about designing your life? You've still have done that, having fun, do this crazy thing to come to Switzerland for less than 24 hours.
Yeah.
It seems like you approach your life as a game. You're just playing. You're not taking it too seriously. So what is that approach to this is your playground?
I'm really good at prioritizing what's most important right now, this morning, this afternoon, tonight. Get back on track, Joe. Focus on the thing that's most important. I'm really good at determining upside and downside risk. I was teaching my kids this the other day. Like should I go to Switzerland to see Alex? What's the upside? What's the downside? Plane could crash. Be away from my family for 24 hours. I don't know, make a list of things that could be bad. And there's a whole host upside that comes out of it. Get to hang out with Alex, get to do this great podcast. Who knows, maybe meet some great people, which I already did. So really good at prioritizing, really good at what I call upside downside decision making. And then you got to have fun with it because I don't take vacations. All I do is work. If you're not having fun in the midst of it, what are you doing? I mean, if I was doing dishes in that restaurant we described before, I'd be having fun. I'd be figuring out a way to play jokes on people, and I'd have to have fun.
Yeah.
It's like in the military, in the ancient military and the modern military. What's that famous saying in the movie 300? Gerard Butler, right? The arrows are coming over from the Persians. It's completely filled the sky. There's no chance that those arrows are not going to poke through a few of the 300 warriors. And he says, well, I guess today we'll fight in the shade. Right? You got to have fun with it.
Touching about your family, you have 4 children.
4 kiddos.
At Intelligent Change Summit before, which we've been part of the last, 2 years, first 2 years. But you actually did a panel on parenting.
I did.
A lot of parents are very, again, soft with their children. And we're all around us, we're raising very soft people, nations.
With every passing generation.
You don't do that.
I try not to do it.
Yeah, you try your best.
Even me, even my wife and I, trying to toughen the kids up, we're still softies.
So what would you recommend to parents raising the children? I have 1 daughter. I'm, planning to have more children in the future.
Yep.
Maybe one day catch up to you.
I love it. I love it.
So I want to be able to raise them well.
Yeah. So there's going to be, every day, there's going to be hard choices, easy choice. Do I choose the hard way or do I choose the easy way for that child? Do I wake that child up early? Do we do the workout or not? Do we take the stairs instead of the elevator? Do I make them do math today? Do I take away the device? The answer is always yes. Always. There's never no. It's always yes. And if somebody in your surrounding says, Alex, that's ridiculous. That child needs to sleep in. That child needs to grow. Joe's an idiot. Your answer is, oh, well, why don't I put her to bed earlier if she needs to sleep? You know what I mean? You can't put her to bed late and then say, I can't wake her up early no, put her to bed early, get her off the devices, make her do the high. I promise you, she'll sleep like a baby if she's taking stairs instead of elevators, if she's eating clean, and if she's throwing a tantrum, she or he, in a restaurant because there's no food, then they don't eat. Sorry, you don't eat today then. Eat when you're hungry.
And connecting as well, switching it from children to now men actually leading women. I'm curious, a lot of men also becoming soft in relationships, meaning we're very pleasing, we're trying to be, very comfortable, not to push any boundaries. What's your take on just men leading in relationships as well?
I liken what you're asking me, I liken to this idea of recovery. I think if everybody listening buys into this idea that our brains are optimizing for softer, easier, less threatening, that's a fact. Hopefully everybody listening buys in. Naturally, what's going to occur when we talk about men and women's relationships, child rearing, recovery, regarding workouts, we're going to over optimize in the wrong direction. What are we recovering from? Back when I was racing like crazy in the mid-90s, I would be out there for 7, 10, 15 days, very little sleep, very little food with my team. Discovery Channel did a study, a scientific study. They looked at the body, they looked at the VO2 max, they looked at the blood markers, they looked at everything. And what they found was even on very little sleep, on very little food, burning 14,000 calories a day, if that's even possible, going up and down mountains, the body became stronger. It became more efficient. Now, obviously, there's a point of diminishing returns. But if we sit around and we talk about recovery, relationship, like we're going to go in the wrong direction. Now, you shouldn't come home and beat your husband or beat your wife. I'm not suggesting that. But like, you got a job to do. She's got a job to do. Get your jobs done. I don't know. When I watch old movies, back to the 1700s, I feel like I should live back then.
In what way?
It just looks awesome. I was watching a movie on the plane. It was in Italian. It was like a cold, mountainous part of Italy. It was like rugged. They had to walk through the snow to get to school. I was like, I should live back then. It looked awesome. One warm cup of milk. I was like, man, I bet they really enjoy that cup of milk right there. Like, I just think it's so easy for the boyfriend or the girlfriend or the wife or the husband to like just talk about feelings and nonsense. Like, do your job. If you have all your time to talk about this stuff, that means you're not working hard enough. It means you're not doing enough.
Yeah. And
What's the saying? An idle mind is the devil's workshop. You don't see a lot of depression. You don't see a lot of this nonsense down in the third world. You don't see 500,000 psychologists down in, Nicaragua. I mean, this is all woven together, this whole conversation, right?
Yeah.
Like when you're doing hard things and you're struggling every day, you get back to basics, you appreciate your mate, you're not focused on nonsense, because you're just thrilled that you got a bowl of soup that she cooked for you.
I feel there's a lot of talk about manifestation, and I'm part of this industry in regards to helping people be more grateful, manifest things in their life. At the same time, many people think they can just manifest by just sitting down on their sofa and all of a sudden all the abundance and beautiful women will appear in their lives. Is that real? What's your take on manifestation and action in life?
Everybody has it wrong. I'm going to piss you off a little bit because even your community, I love all the people, don't get me wrong, but even your community has it all wrong. We don't sit around and own and hope and discuss. Like, it's all nonsense. We have to do. We have to grind, we have to sweat. And in that process of doing, grinding, sweating, we find the place we're supposed to be in life. But if we sit around and we talk about our feelings and the past and this shit and that shit and my mate and look, I love you. I love what you're doing, but like more burpees, less nonsense.
Yeah. And that's the reason why I think a lot of people would think, how's Joe connect to intelligent change in the previous guests I had before? But for me, the whole point of the Intelligent Change podcast is to bring diverse opinions. And myself, the way I've actually am is because I include people like yourself in my life. Yep. You're an inspiration to me.
But the thing, I'll tell you what annoys me about you. You are Russian. You are one of the toughest on earth. I don't know what happened.
No, I believe at the same time, Joe, the
Russians are tough.
I'm tough as well, Joe. I think at the same time, it's the perspective that people see. And many times people think, oh, Alex is just, all positive and in the light. They said, oh, Alex doesn't show his shadow. I'm like, I lived in the shadow for like my childhood. I was raised in the shadow.
Yeah.
And the reason, my story, a lot of people know, but all I can say is, as you know yourself, a lot of people who come from these challenges and difficulties, this is the reason why we're here. It's because I wasn't cuddled. It wasn't all comfortable. I had to work when I was 11 years old.
That's the important thing people need to know is you can't get to where you want to go without suffering. You can't do it. Like there's no escalator to that place. That's why so many kids of very wealthy and very successful people, whether athletes or businessmen, that's why they don't get to that level, because they were coddled. They had silk pajamas. They had 4-car garages, right? The best thing you could do for your daughter is to move to Delhi.
And that's our friend who you know, Dimitri, who was here.
Yeah.
He's like that. As I told you, he's actually from a very wealthy family, but he makes his kids fly coach. They go to Mongolia.
Yeah.
They now are going to live in Ireland, not in the fancy part.
I love it.
And I'm like, why would you do that? Like, because I want to provide, because I'm the first generation. I want to provide comfort to my
It's the worst thing you can do. Somebody said to me recently, what would they say? The biggest problem with my kids is my 4-car garage. So, are we doing it for us or are we doing it for them? Because if we're doing it for them, we probably got to go live in Ireland and not in the fancy part.
As you know, this podcast is called Intelligent Change. And as we wrap it up, I'd love to have your take on what's the first step someone can take to create an intelligent change in their lives? Because many people are...
You got to have a date on the calendar. I have no dog in the fight. Anybody out there listening or watching, it's on me, no charge. Tell Alex you want to do it for 1,000 people, whatever, it's on me, no charge. You have to have a date on the calendar that scares the shit out of you. When you have it could be that you have a test coming at college. It could be that you've got to build a building as a contractor. It could be that you've got some customer you've got to have a date on the calendar that scares the shit out of you. Then what happens is it forces you every day to wake up early, go to bed early, put down the glass of wine, not eat the cookie, and drive toward changing yourself so you succeed at that date on the calendar. So for us, you've got a Spartan race, you've got a Tough Mudder deck, whatever it is, you've got something on the calendar, scares the shit out of you, it's going to force you to change. I like to say you need 3 or 4 of them a year, because you could do one and done, and that's not permanent change. If you want permanent change, you got to get through like a 12-month cycle. You get through that 12-month cycle. Again, I've had 15 million friggin' conversations with people. Literally, it changes you.
It's amazing. And in intelligent change fashion, I'd love to know, what are you grateful for right now?
I'm grateful, number one, I've got my fingers, my toes, my arms and legs. I got you as a friend. We got this wonderful cameraman here. It's not Siberia, right? We're not in a snowstorm. My kids are alive. The plane didn't crash. I mean, we're going to eat at some point. I'm pretty grateful.
Yeah. And Joe, as we wrap up, I want to say my gratitude to you. I'm very grateful that you're pushing yourself, number one. Number two is that you're changing millions of people's lives around the world. And with everything you've achieved at your age, you're still kicking ass. And I'm very grateful to that, because it's inspiring to me. Somebody who's way younger than you be like, shit, if Joe's doing it, I have no excuses to do 100 burpees or to do 100 flight of stairs with 50 pounds. Just keep doing it. And so I'm very grateful for people like you in this world who are truly making a difference. And hopefully today it will inspire at least one person to start making that change in their lives too.
The one guy I would like you to inspire that I have not been able to crack, one guy globally, that Gestalt guy.
Gestalt guy?
He's the guy I can't seem to fix. I've knocked on his door, I've called him, I've texted him, I've emailed him. I can't fix that guy.
Right now, we're going to send him a message, all right?
All right.
We're in Switzerland. We're in his home country.
Let's get that guy fixed.
We'll make it happen. But Joe, thank you so much for being on the Intelligent Change podcast.
You're awesome.
Thank you.
Yep.